Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. It's wonderful to see such a big crowd here to contemplate with us this morning the future of work. I think it's fitting that we're holding this summit on this topic here in Chicago. It's a city that represents big, burly industrial past and also has the energy and ambition to become a dynamic, high-tech, sharing economy kind of town. And it was also the home of the late Studs Terkel, who so beautifully captured the subject of work. His book, Working, was published more than 40 years ago. It was just people talking about their jobs and how they feel about what they do. And through Terkel, we met a bus driver, a barber, a policeman, a piano tuner, an editor, an executive. The list goes on. And a theme that runs throughout every story that he tells is the importance of work in people's lives, how much it defines who they are, how they live, who we are, and how we live, no matter what we do. So fear of the machine is not a new theme, and it was actually palpable in the pages of Working, which I just began to look through again before the summit. There's a 30-something Chicago steelworker who talked to Studs Terkel about being a dying breed, and he said, "I'm a laborer, strictly muscle work. Pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down. We handle between 40 and 50,000 pounds of steel a day." And then he goes on to foreshadow the future in the most insightful way. He says, "You're doing this manual work, and you know technology can do it. Let's face it, a machine can do the work of a man." Asked about automation, he says, "It depends on how it's applied. It frightens me if it puts me out on the street. It doesn't frighten me if it shortens my work week." That steel worker, if he's still alive, would probably be close to 80 now, and the change he foresaw seems to be upon us. Today, we're going to tackle some of the thorniest issues about the future of work, try to understand what kind of social transformation we're confronting, and explore what we might do to pave a better road ahead. As we get rolling, I do want to take a moment to thank our underwriters. They've made today possible, and they are Shinola, Lumina Foundation, and the Rockefeller Foundation. With that, it gives me enormous pleasure to introduce Abigail Carlton. She is Managing Director of the Rockefeller Foundation, and she's here to offer a few words. Abigail.
Good morning. On behalf of the Rockefeller Foundation, I would like to thank our colleagues at The Atlantic for bringing us all together today for a really important set of discussions on the future of work. At the Foundation, one of the goals that drives all of our work is to advance more inclusive economies throughout the world. So, as you can imagine, a lot of our work focuses on work. We live in a time of incredible dynamism and global change, of volatility and uncertainty. And we're seeing these forces play out in the world of work in a number of important ways. 25%, and that's a conservative estimate, but 25% of our nation's workforce is now independent, so workers who aren't in traditional W-2 jobs. Technology is creating new possibilities for companies to break down functions and allocate tasks. And in turn, technology is creating new opportunities for people to find and do work. These shifts bring opportunities for workers and employers, but they also raise a number of really significant challenges. There are heated debates about whether the net effect of technological advancements for work will be positive or negative for workers, especially for low-wage workers. And I am certain we'll hear some of those debates play out today. And we've seen long-standing challenges like wage theft and work safety issues create even greater vulnerability for low-wage workers with the rise of independent work. It is clear that work is becoming more precarious, particularly for those who have traditionally been left behind. So, like so many of you at the Foundation, when we look at this landscape, we see an opportunity, but really an imperative, to promote greater equity, participation, and stability in our economy. We have a number of initiatives and campaigns underway, and I'll mention just a few of them. First, we're working with some of the nation's largest employers to ensure they meet the changing world of work with strategies that create more upward mobility for workers. Through our U.S. Youth Employment Initiative, we're working with corporations to promote impact hiring, a set of practices that connect companies to top entry-level talent across diverse communities with an emphasis on employing opportunity youth. And through our 100 by 25 campaign, we aim to increase the number of women CEOs of Fortune 500 companies to 100 by the year 2025 by working with board directors, institutional investors, executive search firms, and companies themselves to change the outdated criteria used to determine who will thrive in corporate boardrooms and C-suite offices. Second, we're working with technology companies and others to support innovations that promote greater transparency and participation in the labor force. For example, we're supporting a company called Knack that develops virtual games to identify the skills employers need in job candidates. Simply put, Knack finds the talent companies need in people they may never have considered before. And finally, we're engaging with workers themselves to increase their ability to plan and engage in economic decision-making, giving them greater confidence to invest in their future. Through our Work Shift campaign, we're helping low-wage workers organize to address workplace policies that cause instability, like just-in-time scheduling. These are a few of the ways we're trying to build a more inclusive economy in this rapidly changing world of work. And I offer these to you with great humility. There is so much that needs to be done, and so many others in this room and beyond who are working tirelessly to make our workforce and our workplaces more inclusive of all workers. So I will leave you with a final thought. In a world where drones are delivering our packages and computers are driving our cars, the future of work, as a title for this conference, sort of suggests we have the luxury of time. Time to discuss, time to analyze, time to tackle the challenges we'll talk about today. But I would argue that the future we're talking about is happening right now. So my challenge to all of us as we move into today's discussions is to think about how we can not just listen, but act on the ideas, the innovations, and the debates we'll hear today. We have the chance in this moment to turn our challenges into opportunities and use this turning point in our economy to bring about more broadly shared prosperity. The future of work and workers depends on it. Thank you all for being here and for the important work you do. I look forward to today's conversations.